Ma'am Mars, good morning.
Sa bawat pagtawa ay tumayo, butin mo ang pangarap na buong buo. Kung sa tingin mo kinawawala ng pag-asa, di ka nag-iisa sa hamon at problema. Kahit na magkakapareho may pagkakaiba, ngunit ang pinagkaiba sa atin ang pagkakaisa. Sulong lang, sabay-sabay sa bundok na matarik, parang sugat na lika na maapakan ng tinig. Diretso lang, kahit gano'ng kalupit, hindi ikot ang segundo sa relo na pabalik. Tumingin ka sa liwanag na sa'yo'y papalapit, makinig ka sa katotohanan na aming sinasabit. Madadapa ka minsan, kakayanin mo pa rin dahil ang pusong biyuin nyo sa data mo sa lilim.
Subukin ang ngiti ang bawat pagsubok. Pakinggan mabuti ang bawat pagtibok.
Ang pusong nangangarap, biyuhin nyo nagsisikap, sama-sama sa pangarap. Kahit busy, tayong
Kakaibang gawin sa ating pati-hati. Subalit sa huling nagwawagi pa rin. Marahil ay iba't iba ang kulay kilos sa salita. Subalit
Tumingin ka sa liwanag na sa'yo'y papalapit. Makinig ka sa katotohanan na aming sinasabit. Madadapa ka minsan, kakayanin mo pa rin. Dahil ang puso biyuin niyo sa data mo sa bibig.
Sumulungin ang ngiti ang bawat pagsubok. Pakinggan mabuti ang bawat pagtibok.
truth. Naka-off. Naka-full screen.
So good afternoon, everyone. The importance of education is indeed undeniable. And in the face of all challenges and changes we are facing, the need for inclusivity in education is paramount. Recognizing this, the PHDEF class organized this webinar on exceptionality and school reforms as facets of multicultural education. To begin
Recording
with this
in progress.
afternoon's program, we shall have the invocation and the Philippine national anthem through an audio-visual presentation.
kasilangan, anak ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyat ka ng pag-ibig, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisilip. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit na baga, may nilagang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal. Pag-islap ng matawat mo'y tagumpay na nanginginig. Ang bituin at araw niya, kailan pang may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw naman, bakit pagsinta mo'y langit sa piling mo? Aming ligaya na pamay malapit ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
So again, good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, may I feel your virtual presence through a heart emoticon? Let me see. This is an unholy hour, and it's very important for us to know that you are there. So 3 seconds, please. May I see if you are indeed present through your heart emoticon? Wow, all right. So thank you very much. Now, the PhD EF class sponsored this activity through, of course, the leadership of our course facilitator in PhD EF 312, Education in Multicultural Societies. So to give us the words of welcome, I would like to call in Dr. Dolores D. Lagilias.
Thank you, Kat. Good afternoon, everyone. In behalf of the Bicol University, particularly the Graduate School, headed by the Dean, Dr. Bert Rosana, the Bicol University College of Education, headed by Dr. Lorna Minya, and its Community Extension Office, we warmly welcome each and every one of you to this webinar dubbed as Exceptionality and School Reforms as Facets of Multicultural Education. We have entitled this webinar so that we could relate with the present trend and challenges of multicultural education. This afternoon, we will be joined by seasoned educator whose vast experiences and life stories of the topics they are going to share articulates how they live and practice the different dimensions of multicultural education in their profession. And we would like to thank Dr. Jeremy, Dr. Marcia, and Dr. Helen, who are with us today. So also in behalf of my 9 superpower students who conceptualized this activity, we warmly welcome each and every one of you in this forum. So we sit back and we hope that this will be a very fruitful webinar for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dali. Indeed, this would not have been possible had it not been for your leadership. Now, to give us the message, of course, we have the leader of the graduate school. May I request now Dr. Herbert B. Rosana.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me to grace your occasion. And I know that this is very significant today, especially when we talk about multicultural education, which was unheard several decades ago. Before, our education was homogeneous, so we are expected to follow a certain level of benchmark or ideal. But today we hear about the concepts about inclusivity. We talk about inclusive education. And I think that this inclusivity is a byproduct of our globalized world because we have been interacting with each other, and human interaction and mobility has increased in these recent times. So therefore, this idea of inclusivity has come, and I think even in societies like us, where we are not really multicultural. Usually, when you go to the classroom, most of our students are the same. They came from the same background, the same religion, the same ethnicity. But I think the idea of inclusivity is still very much relevant because it boils down on the concept of respect for human dignity, because people are different. And even if in a seemingly homogeneous society like us, there are still differences. There are people who have different ideas. There are people who have different backgrounds. And probably things that were taboo in the past several years are becoming now a topic of kumbaga, it becomes now a common thing. And because people realize that there are certain situatedness and reality that we must admit and we must recognize, because when things are not exposed, this becomes it creates a pathology, a mental pathology. Pag marami tayong tinatago, it creates a lot of difficulties. Just like we see, for example, in the Catholic Church, because of the culture of tawag doon, exclusivity, because of the culture of protecting the institution at the expense of addressing difficulties. And if you look at the literature today, sometimes the child abuse cases in Europe and in America is unimaginable, and you know why it happens. And it's because people are not honest, people are not inclusive, they are more exclusive. They try to create an image which is not their own, and it creates a pathology, it creates an abnormality in the way we deal with people. Kaya I think itong multicultural and inclusive education is very important. Not because we are tolerating any misbehavior, but rather we simply recognize the reality of each and every one of us. And probably through constant dialogue, constant interaction, we will be able to synthesize these things. Because like the Darwinian concept of evolution can also be applied in society. Because sabi nga ni si Darwin was very confident that the process of evolution will always result to a better synthesis. So in a way, we should not be afraid to confront realities, even though this might seem threatening. Because in reality, if we admit that goodness is better than being bad, I believe that in the end, what is good and what is best will emerge. And especially if we are educators, we should be at the forefront, and we should not hide, but rather we should be, we should be proactive. Dapat doon tayo sa nangunguna. Kumbaga sa Bicol, dapat kita ang mga padarahan, bako kita ang pigdadaraninda, kita dapat ang padarahan. Kasi pag aramtaang matanos na paagi, aramtaang maray para sa gabos, dapat kita ang nanginginutan, bako kita ang pigdadaraninda. So I think that's the main reason why we should be game changer. And if we want to become game changer, dapat we should be kita ang nagpapadara, bako kita ang napigdadara. Kaya minsan ang mga garit-garitan, bako man maraot. Minsan nagiging maray man siya, kung lalo na kung kita garit-garitan sa mga maray na bagay. And I think we should not be afraid of dialogue, we should not be afraid of discussions, because these are things that will help us improve our educational landscape. So my friend, I will not prolong my inspiration, because there will be a lot of inspiration that you will receive in your upcoming discussion. And I would like to appreciate your course professor, and also especially our guests and our resource person who obliged to be here despite of their busy schedule. And I hope that you will listen and take this as an opportunity to learn. So thank you very much, my friends, and enjoy this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Sir Dean, for your continued support of the PHDEF program. And be assured that our program will always and continuously promote inclusivity. Now, before we move forward and recognizing that the Dean is extremely busy, may I request everyone to turn on their cameras first so that we can have the picture. One, two, three. All right. Another one. One, two, three. So thank you very much again, Sir Dean, for your presence this afternoon. And we would be very happy to have you for the whole afternoon if you're not too busy. Now, to give us the statement of purpose, we have the president of the class, Gerardo B. Lawenco.
Good afternoon, everyone. So in our class, this is our major output, but more than the major output, this webinar this afternoon has the following objectives. First, to discuss the principles of multicultural education and reframe them as an integral part in the promotion of inclusivity and diversity in Philippine classrooms. Second, to promote multicultural education as an extension endeavor of BU Graduate School and College of Education. Third, get a glimpse of how multicultural education is applied in school curricula, programs, and reforms. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax and enjoy our webinar this afternoon. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Sir Gerard Lawenco. Now, just to check on you as our participants, we shall have the barometer check to be done by Ma'am Denise Bedis and Ma'am Christine Verga.
Thank you, Ma'am Kat. It is such a wonderful day to be with you all as we open the threshold in engaging conversations on exceptionality and school reforms as facets of multicultural education. Once again, a pleasant afternoon to our dear participants. At the moment, we already have a lot of participants here in our Zoom meeting as well as in a Facebook Live. I know you are all thrilled to listen to our equally competent speakers for today's webinar. Certainly, this is an event that you should not miss, for there are valuable things that you could get out of this endeavor. Before we start the most awaited talk, let us have first this real-time barometer check activity to gauge the general profile of our participants attending in this webinar. I'll be asking some questions via Mentimeter.com. This will be just a quick survey. Rest assured that you will find the questions fun and engaging. Do not worry because these are just simple questions that will let us know you, albeit virtually. I hope you will actively participate in this barometer check activity. Please go to Menti.com and type the code 29549393. So let me share the Mentimeter dashboard now. So share screen. Again, the code is 29549393. First, we would like to know the age demographic profile of the attendees of this webinar. Don't worry, your identity will not be posted and shared. So we have the following age brackets to choose from. We have 15 to 24 years old, 25 to 40 years old, 41 to 56 years old, and 57 to 75 years old. So we can already see some responses reflected on our dashboard. So there we have it, ladies and gents. So based on our dashboard, this shows that most of our participants' age range from 25 to 40 years old. Just a trivia, if you belong to this age group or age bracket, you are labeled as Gen Y, or you are also considered as millennials. And those who belong to this group, you still watch television and are extremely comfortable using your mobile devices, right? And you typically have multiple social media accounts. Perhaps you have Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, and the like. We also have attendees who are between 41 to 56 years old. They belong to the Gen X. If you belong to this group, you still read newspapers, magazines, listen to the radio, and watch TV. However, due to exposure to different technology tools, you are also digital savvy and you spend roughly 7 hours a week on Facebook. So I'm sure all of you will be learning a lot in our sessions today that will help you as teachers or as students. To continue this barometer check activity, please welcome Ma'am Christine Verga.
This time, let us proceed to the next Mentimeter survey. We would also like to know where you are right now. We would see in our live streaming via the BUEMD Facebook page that most of our participants are teachers and students. If you are an educator, please key in the school where you are connected and include the division where your school is. Again, if you are a teacher watching via Facebook Live, please key in the name of your school in the comment section of our Facebook Live streaming. Please also include your division. Thank you. If you are a student, please type the name of your school. So I'm sure you will learn a lot in our sessions today, and I'm sure these sessions will help you as teachers or as students, especially during this time of the new normal. As you can see, we have attendees from Daraga Albay, Bicol University, BUCE, from the province of Albay, and from DepEd as a teacher from BUCSSP General Education, from Kamalig National High School. We also have participants from BUC-CBEN. We are indeed attended by diverse teachers and students here in Region 5, the Bicol region. Thank you again for participating in this Mentimeter survey. Somehow, we have looked into the general profile and the demographic profile of our participants. I will now turn the floor over to Ma'am Catherine E. Evasco. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Denise and Ma'am Tian. That's interesting. We could use that. Definitely, my dear teachers and as participants, you could use that in your respective classes. So again, Mentimeter po yung tawag dun sa application. Now, to give us the webinar etiquette, I would like to call in Ma'am Marichu L. Almen. Thank you very much, Mama Richu, for the reminders. So, my dear participants, please take note of what was stated there. To introduce our first speaker, I would like to call in Sir Pak Puemia.
Yes, ma'am. We have some
speaker.
rearrangement previously, remember?
Okay, so technical issues like this would happen. I'm pretty sure you understand that by now. After 2 years of having online sessions such as these happens. So, now to introduce our first speaker, I would like to call in Ma'am Leslie Ann D. Monge.
And 2021. Internet. Laro yan. Okay na? Okay. Start na. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's always a good morning for each and everyone since we are having always a good day. So, I have the honor to present to you our first speaker. She is Dr. Marcia Corazon Penetrante Rico, a dedicated professor and a program advisor of the MA in Social Studies Education in the Graduate School, Bicol University College of Education, Legazpi City. She has been elected board member of the Philippine Association for Teachers of Educational Foundation, United Professionals for Development and Advancement of Teacher Education, or PATEV Update Incorporated, from December 2015 to December 2021. Now, Ma'am Marcia is the Press Relation Officer for the term December 2021 to December 2023. She is involved in various research and extension projects. She is the editor of the work text entitled Understanding Children and Teens, published in 2014, co-author of 2 field study and 1 and 2 workbooks published in 2007, and a co-author of the books Brain-Based Teaching and Learning, a New Paradigm in Education and Facilitating Learner-Centered Teaching, published in 2016 and 2021, respectively. So she is none other than, again, Dr. Marcia Corazon Penetrante Rico. Ma'am Marcia.
Hello everyone! Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. This is your teacher Mars saying, hello, hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? How are you today? I do hope everybody's doing fine today and you are ready to sing with me. I am fine, I am great, I am fine, I am great, I am fine, I am great, I'm feeling good today. Hello everyone, this is Teacher Marcia, your facilitator for today. And I was invited, I can't say no to my friends. I can't say no to Ma'am Dali Lagilles. I can say no to some of my students here. So here am I, your facilitator for the session, recruiting and retaining gifted students from different ethnic, culture, and language groups. I just have to greet you with a smile. And of course, I just have to more or less greet you with a song because you are all special, okay? You are all special, sabi ni Barney. Oh, you are special, special. Everyone is special. Everyone in his or her own way. 'Cause you are special, special. Everyone is special. Everyone in his or her own way. Everyone is special in his or her own way. Yes, everyone is special. That's the idea behind education in multicultural societies. Okay? We just have to embrace diversity, my friends, because the heart of multicultural education is for us to connect with its child or student. Okay? Sabi ni Pocahontas, we are all connected to each other in a circle, in a hope that never ends. The heart of multicultural education is for us to be able to connect with each child or student. Let me start my talk by, of course, a story in metaphorical thinking, Taming the Fox, Teachings from the Little Prince by Carol Ann Tomlinson in 2002. Once upon a time, there was the little prince who is in many ways representative of all of us. Okay? One day, he decided to go on a pilgrimage to make sure of life. He wants to understand what love means. He wants to understand what life means. Para bang kanta noong 1995 ng Foreigner, I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. Okay, so there was this little prince. Of course, he traveled. Now, near the end of his journey, he met a fox and asked the fox to play with him. Fox, can you play with me? But the fox said, no, you cannot play with me because I am not tame. You have to tame me first. That was the challenge of the fox. You have to tame me first. But you know, little prince, remember this. Taming means establishing ties. Taming means taking time to be patient, taking time to listen. And of course, at first with this, the little prince was skeptical because, you know, he was so busy. He has so many things to do. But, you know, in time, he decided to tame the fox, okay? So the fox shared two important truths. In time, the little prince accepted the challenge of taming the fox. In their learning journey, the fox shared two important truths. And I think you're familiar with this, my dear friends, if you read that book. One, it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And of course, you become responsible forever for what you have tamed. In the end, the fox and the little prince must part ways. Siyempre, minsan, walang forever. There is great sadness, but there is happiness born of fulfillment, because the two will be joined together by the memories they shared, the times they shared. So, tipong, as long as you are in my heart, we'll never say goodbye. It will never be goodbye, because we will always be joined forever by the memories we shared together, the times we shared together. In metaphorical thinking, in our classrooms, our students would say, "Tame me, teacher." Sometimes we become skeptical as teachers because we are so busy. We're busy ako, walang time, marami pong gagawin. But you know, it's okay to take the risk to train its student. As Carolyn Tomlinson would emphasize, take the risk to train its student. Take time to create ties. Creating ties would entail that the teacher and the student both listen. Both are teachers and learners, and both are enriched by what we will be sharing or by what we shared. Creating ties, my dear friends, co-teachers, would mean building bridges. Would mean building bridges, not walls, in our classrooms. Building or creating ties would mean making meaningful connection. Creating ties would mean reaching out. Because as teachers, we all know, in our hands, there's a world in our care. In our hands lies the power to share. In our hands, we can grow even more than we know when we all understand all that is in our hands. You know, my dear friends, moral of the story, we teach best when we accept the challenge to tame the fox. The heart of multicultural education is for us to make meaningful connections. Why advocate multicultural education? Because students do differ greatly. Diversity has become the norm in our educational system. In our classrooms, students come with different physical features. We differ in our developmental characteristics and needs. We differ in our ethnic, cultural, socioeconomic, political, religious backgrounds, in our different abilities, cognitive, affective, psychomotor. Our habits, interests, and talents differ. Even our views, beliefs, perceptions, our general life experiences, support systems, even our preferences, and our learning styles and strategies. To sum this up, we differ, but we celebrate diversity in our classrooms. In fact, Levine in 2000 emphasized The schools are like airport hubs. Student passengers arrive from many different backgrounds for widely divergent destinations. Their particular takeoffs will demand different flight plans. Therefore, we have to remember one size doesn't fit all. Different folks, different strokes. Of course, a good teacher, always remember this, recognizes that every person, every student has a talent lying hidden, unexplored. Our duty is to unearth it and help it blossom. Always remember this very nice saying from J.M. Manchanda. But we have to remember, there are also many students who don't fit the mold of the typical students. We have many students who are sometimes mainstreamed in our classrooms, and they don't fit the mold of typical students. And we call them LSANs, the learners with special learning needs, or exceptional children in our midst. Okay, now don't worry, because I do believe later in the presentation, you will realize that exceptional students are in good company. We will play a game, and I will be requesting Sir Gerard, your president, or Ma'am Kat or Ma'am Denise to please take note of the person who will type in the correct answer. Okay, I will be flashing some pictures, some exceptional students before, now, noon, ngayon. Ayan, tingnan ko nga kung ma-identify nyo sila. The first in to type in the question will, of course, win a prize. But who will get the highest number of correct answers, the prize will be given. I'll send the prize to you, to the students of Ma'am Dali who are hosting this webinar. Students, teachers, you are all welcome to participate. Exceptional students are in good company. Let's try number 1. What is the correct answer? 1, 2. Type in the correct answer. Of course, one very exceptional student. Of course, Sir Gerard was the first, of course. But one has to give the complete answer, the complete name. Oh, I can see my friend Ian. Okay, of course, that's Jose Rizal. For number 1, take note of those will be the first to type in the correct answer. How about this one? Exceptional students in our midst are in good company. Who is that? Who is that? Type in your answer. Ayan, meron pang nagta-type in. Sino kaya ang number 2? Okay, ayan na po. Nandyan, sino siya? Albert Einstein ba siya? Okay, tingnan natin. Hindi pa. O, type in your answer, especially those who are in the Zoom. John Henry Briones said it's Benjamin Franklin. Okay, tingnan nga natin kung sino nga talaga diagnosed with mild autism when he was a young boy. That's Benjamin Franklin. Okay, next. Exceptional children are in good company. Who is that? Sige nga, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Students of PHDEF grad school participants in this webinar. Ayan, Leslie Ann actually answered Helen Keller. Yes, tingnan natin. Yes. Mamaya, iba man po si Ma'am Helen Yanaresas. Okay? Ito pong nasa picture, si Ma'am Helen Keller. Mamaya po mamimit nyo si Ma'am Helen, one of my mentors. How about that one? How about that one? You have the clue, the MP. The MP, who is that? Diagnosed with ADHD in 6th grade. Ayan. Take note. Yes, that's correct. That's Michael Phelps. Thanks to his mom, Debbie Phelps, was really very supportive of his son. Of course, not Debbie Ann Monghe, my friend, who is one of the participants in this webinar. Debbie Phelps, who's the mother of Michael Phelps, one of the very significant persons in his life. Okay? How about that one? Very famous, very famous. Okay, who is that actor? Who is that actor? Okay, sino ba? Ayan, Aubrey. Very good. Jack Nicholson. Okay, tingnan natin. Yan. So you see, our exceptional students are in good company. How about that picture? Please answer. Type in your answer. I do hope Sir G. Okay, Denise, it should be complete, Denise. Okay, so one of our student, my friend, Sir G, please just take note of those who will be typing in the correct answer. Amadeus Mozart. Okay, yan Art, Sir Art, you're really an art ka talaga because that's basically, ayan, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. May symphony na siya at the age of 4. My God, talaga very talented. How about this one? Diagnosed with dyslexia. Dyslexia, yan. Sino yan? Of course, Leslie Ann, one of our favorite actors, Tom Cruise. Okay, yan. Ano yan, publicly talaga sinasabi niya yan. He was diagnosed with dyslexia at age 7. Okay, that's Tom Cruise. How about this one? Ayan talaga. Alam na alam natin yan. Kahit sa mga movie niya, ayan, Aubrey, tingnan natin ang tamang spelling. Okay, tingnan natin. Of course, that's Jim Carrey. Ayan. Thank you, Franco. Hi, my friend. Ayan, in the 1995 Bromel commercial, can you name the 3 kids there for you to earn 3 points? 3 points if you can name the 3 kids in the 1995 Bromel Gifted. The Gifted. Ayan. Si Leslie only identified the girl with Shira Luna. Okay, sino pa kaya ito? Tingnan natin. Ayan, 1 point. Ayan po yung nauuna si James Flores. Remember, Kiko. And of course, Shira Luna. O ayan, the next. Yung nagtuturo dyan ng Philippine history. Kiko, Shira, James. Okay, Aubrey, thank you. How about this one? Kilalang kilala ito. Naku, si Irene. Nauna kaysa kay John Henry. My very good student in history. Yan, ang dakilang lumpo, Apolinario Mabini. Okay, how about this one? Very well known. Ayan po. Well known po siya. Remember this one? Pilot po yan. Pilot. Yan, sino kaya yan? Tapos black belter talaga siya. The world's first licensed armless pilot and a black belt in American Taekwondo. Sino kaya siya? Wow, Denise, very good. That's Jessica Cox. Ayan. Eto, how about this one? The first visually impaired Filipino to graduate summa cum laude in Ateneo de Manila University in BS Math. He developed software for the visually impaired. Okay, sige nga, 2001 graduate. Hindi yata kilala ng iba. Ayan, na-news po siya. Siya po si Rusel Ambubuyog. Yes. Irene, thank you. Sir Pop, thank you very much. Rusel Ambubuyog. BS Math po siya ng Ateneo de Manila. Okay, ito kaya, sino ito? Na-feature po ito sa Rappler, The Philippines Little Picasso. Yan pala si Worth Lodriga. Yan. Yan po yung mga paintings niya at a very young age. So you see, exceptional students are in good company. Together, we can beat the odds, okay? We just have to embrace the challenges of Special education. You know, in special education, we beat the odds in special education. So what is SPED? Yan lang. It's basically education of students with special needs. We try to address their students' individual differences and needs. Mamaya po, titingnan ko na lang kung sinong nanalo sa ating palaro ngayon. Maraming salamat. So you see, we embrace the challenges of SPED, inclusive education. Take the time, take the risk to tame its student, because we teach best when we accept the challenge of taming the fox. They are in good company. Ayan, definitely they will succeed. That's the main goal of special education, as it puts the persons first before the disability. It describes what the person has, not the person is. This is the philosophy of SPED. They have the right to an education program that is suitable to their needs. And this is the ultimate goal of SPED, the integration mainstreaming of these learners into the regular school system and eventually in the community. That's the beauty of inclusive education. Inclusion matters. Inclusive education, SPED matter. Okay? Now, we all know that we have the typology of learners with special needs. Hindi lang po ito para dun sa may mga physical impairments. Okay? We have learners with intellectual disability, learners with learning disabilities like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia. We have those learners with autism, learners with difficulty seeing, learners with difficulty hearing, communicating, moving. Okay, we also have learners with socio-emotional disorder, like the one presented on your screen. We have learners with chronic illnesses as well. We also have learners with difficult circumstances. Still, they fall under learners with special educational needs. Those living in remote places, the victims of war, products of broken family, learners from indigenous groups. Of course, learners with anxiety attack, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolar, and the learners from the indigenous groups, they also fall under LSENS. And don't forget, we have learners who are gifted and talented along visual arts, music, on intellectual giftedness, performing arts, and the like. Okay, just to give a glimpse of the smartest kids in the Philippines, thanks to www.affordablecebu.com for the smartest Filipino kids. I think you're familiar with this very young boy, the youngest member of the Mensa Philippines. The Mensa Philippines is actually a branch of Mensa International. It's the largest and oldest high IQ society network. Yan. The youngest member is a young boy. Ayan. Okay, so yan po ang kanyang mga natatanging skills talaga. Nandyan din si Rain Hayes. Yan. Mga 130 up ang mga IQ nila. We also have Michaela Irene for the league. Ayan, she finished her master's and PhD just a few years after she entered college at age 11. We also have Miguel Siciliano. Ayan, who wanted to be a pilot at age 5. He knew all this. Alressia Micaela, ayan. Ang kanya kasing mga magulang ay member din ng Mensa. Kaya matataas din ang mga IQ. Ayan. Genius siya, considered genius with an IQ of 143. Shaira Luna, I think you're familiar with Shaira now. He's a photographer. Okay, di siya naging doktor. Everybody was telling her, oh, you will be a doctor kasi mahusay ka sa human anatomy, etc. But she decided to take, to be a professional photographer. Okay, so the topic kasi that was actually given to me was recruiting and retaining gifted students from different ethnic, cultural, and language group. Okay, now, as we all know, it's a reality. Giftedness exists in every cultural group and across all economic strata. Let us remember this as teachers, okay? Giftedness exists in every cultural group and across all economic strata. Pag sinabi nating giftedness, nandito ang ilan sa mga definitions ng giftedness, okay? So I'll just run through this fast because tatlo kami, we're only up to 3 p.m. Okay, so you can see here how different experts define giftedness. Now, in fairness po, andito mamaya ang isa sa napakahusay kong classmate, batchmate, na napakahusay na principal. Makikita mo sa kanyang eskwelahan, talagang makikita mo yung mga programs niya talaga for our LSENS. In fairness po, school systems, private or public, have made significant progress in offering gifted and enrichment programs, okay? But stark realities stare us in the face. The issue of underrepresentation. Yes, we all know, you will see there the researches conducted, okay? And findings would say culturally diverse, economically disadvantaged students have always been inadequately represented in gifted education. Their gifts are often unidentified, neither challenged, and they are not given opportunities to develop their gifts. In particular, like in the study of Ford in 2004, particular po na mention din doon kasi doon po siya nag-focus, the African American, the Hispanic American, and the Native Americans kasi doon po pinag-aralan nila sa US. Usually, overrepresented ang mga Asian Americans. Talagang 41 out of the 50 states, talagang overrepresented in gifted education ang mga Asian Americans talaga. Ang challenge lang talaga ng mga Asian Americans na na-consider for gifted education ay yung kanilang socio-emotional. Pero nakita sa pag-aaral nila Ford and company that underrepresented din ang mga African American, yung mga Hispanic Americans, and the Native Americans. How I wish we can also conduct this study in the Philippines, okay? But I think you will agree with me, many a times, if you don't have money, hindi naman napapa-assess ang kanilang mga bata, kanilang mga anak. Okay, nakita rin sa mga pag-aaral, you can see there the research-based findings that there is also gender inequity in gifted programs. Kinumbine yung mga results from 130 studies published, boys were 1.19 times more likely than girls to be identified as gifted and included in gifted programs. Even teachers, pagkahiningan sila ng mga student profile, teachers in the study of Harrison, Garrison, Wade, and Leach in 2011 would say, teachers would likely to nominate the boys for a gifted program than the girls. And hindi lang yun, tiningnan din ni Adolphus Hope in 2008 ang parents' judgment of their daughter's cognitive capabilities underestimated when compared to their son. So the issue of underrepresentation, mayroon ding issue pong kinakaharap. Nandyan ang resource gaps. Siyempre, economically, di ma-afford yung mga assessments or tests. Mabuti na lang kung may mga butihing philanthropists na talagang nag-o-offer ng free assessment sa mga batang ito. Resource gaps, nakikita siya. Achievement gaps. Poor parental involvement, lack of academic, cultural, political, and social support. Lalong-lalo na kung bigla wala ng budget, di ba? Or babawasan ng budget. Naku, isa talaga siya sa barriers. And then lack of equitable recruitment policies like a comprehensive universal screening, not only for the gifted students, but also for our learners with special educational needs. Buti na lang ang DepEd ngayon, may mga programa like Child Find, okay? And may mga butihing philanthropists na nag-o-offer talaga ng mga free screening assessment sa ating mga estudyante po sa public and private schools. Nandyan din po ang mga biases, nandyan yung deficit thinking. Ano tong deficit thinking? Usually, sinasabi dito kapag deficit thinking, sinasabi yung notion na, ay nako, di na yan. Di naman yan, mahirap kasi yan. So, hindi yan magpi-perform well. So, kung minsan merong mga ganun talaga, biases ng mga teachers, sometimes sasabihin, ano ba to? May deficit thinking. Ay, kulang yan sa resources. Naku, hindi yan pwede. Naku, walang pera yan. Or anak yan nung ay naku, mahina ang ulo niyan. Okay, mayroong mga ganon. Mga teachers' biases and stereotypes. Okay, not only with LSINs, but even with indigenous people. So, makikita natin, nandyan din, isa din yan sa mga barriers talaga. And of course, lack of understanding, lack of training. Hindi lang po sa mga parents, kundi sa mga teachers as well. Kaya nga, I would like to congratulate the proponents of this webinar. This is a free webinar. So let me now take this opportunity to at least share to you later in my slides what can be done. Okay, so what can be done? Responding to this, I give you my acronym PET. What could be done? We provide academic, cultural, political, and social support funding as well. Kung wala naman, we link to different NGOs, philanthropists, supporters, advocates of special education, because of course, we are all connected with each other. It takes a village to educate a child. You are not alone. If you are a SPED teacher, I would say, you are not alone. I am here with you. There is a need really for support. And then we also need equitable recruitment to mean screening, referral, assessment, and comprehensive gifted assessment. And we need also, we need to provide opportunities for teachers and parents, trainings, professional development programs for cultural competence and gifted education. Why cultural competence? Di nawawala ang mga biases and prejudices, yung mga deficit thinking. And what is gifted education? Okay, so PET, don't forget the PET. Yan. Now, let's start with the identification screening. So on gifted education, pagdating sa identification, screening, assessment, and evaluation, we need CUTE. Okay. Assessment, screening, identification, C, it's a continuing process. Okay. U, it's the use of appropriate assessment tools. If I may share, it's a continuing process. I can cite one of my very good friend then, Dr. Leticia Peñano of UP. She's a very good friend of my best friend Henny. Nakikita ko ang kanyang ginagawa for gifted education. Continuing process, kahit lumaki na yung mga bata, namomonitor pa rin nila kung anong nangyayari na sa kanila. Like for example, si Kiko, publisher na. Yun si Shaira Luna, ano na po siya, photographer po siya. Now, about yung isa, si Gomez, yan, si Kiko, si James Flores, master's na siya in clinical psychology, advocate na siya ng gifted education. So, it's a continuing process. Then the use of appropriate assessment tools. Di po ako psychometrician, di po ako psychologist, kaya kung meron tayong estudyanteng ganun, rini-refer talaga natin sa mga experts dyan. They know the appropriate assessment tools. Kaya nga sinasabi, it takes a village to educate a child, the team approach. And early intervention, sabi ng mga researchers, Even Ford in 2004 and all other researchers niya on retaining recruitment of gifted students in different ethnic backgrounds, sinasabi, start in the preschool, start in the early years because early intervention is very good. Okay, pero paano ba ang pwedeng gawin namin, Teacher Mars? Okay, I can share Dr. Leticia Peñano Ho's tips, which were presented in Smart Parenting. Parent ka, teacher ka, make your child's portfolio a collection of products and your observations for your children, for your child. You include the physical data, you note the strengths, 4 milestones to watch according to Dr. Ho. She heads the Philippine Center for Gifted Education, a retired UP professor, yung physical, cognitive, socio-emotional communication. Then observe your child, observe your student silently, especially during playtime. Reflect and collaborate. You cannot do it alone, mommy. You cannot do it alone, daddy. Tatay, nanay, di mo yan makakaya na ikalang. Teacher, di mo yan makakaya na ikalang. Kaipuhan, collaboration, referral is also very important. Mensa Philippines published these signs of giftedness. Parang mga signs to watch out for. Teacher, wala kami pang, di pa namin na-assess siya ng mga cognitive test or special ability test. Pero nakikita mo sa observation mo, eto ang mga signs of giftedness. Okay, so I need not go over them. These are self-explanatory because I know we still need to listen to 2 more speakers. These are the common indicators of gifted children. So baka malay mo, isa sa mga estudyante mo ngayon, meron yan. Or isa sa mga apo or anak mo. Okay, common indicators of gifted children, yan din po, nakikita rin po. Oftentimes, talagang very independent sila and they have the ability to concentrate on a problem na medyo mahirap sa atin pero for extended periods of time. Okay, so usually, giftedness assessment would involve review lagi, makakasama lagi dyan yung family history nyo, yung mga observations mo, cognitive, socio-emotional observations. Nakakatulong din under giftedness assessment ang cognitive intelligences test, standardized achievement test, giftedness index assessment. Usually, ito din po ang mga skills to be assessed. Okay? So, yan po. Minsan, ang nagiging problema na talaga, OMG, wala po kaming pera. Okay. Sa classroom naman, tips from experts. Teacher, eto yung mga giftedness assessment involved. Okay. Mga giftedness assessment that would involve what I presented. Now, teachers, parents, help them shine. Help them shine. Paano po? Gawing simple ko lang. Ace the top. How do we actually help them shine? A, ace the top. A, acceleration. C, collaboration, consultation. You cannot do it alone. Referral, assessment, referral. Then, for schools, kailangan magkakaroon po talaga tayo ng isang contextualized, individualized educational plan for that child under curriculum, making it multi-level, multi-dimensional, student-centered, and flexible. And don't forget, kaakibat po ay ang psychosocial support sa mga LSENs natin. Sa gifted, kailangan po strengthen the counseling program. E is enrichment. In our classroom, D, differentiated instruction. That's why I will always cite as references Carol Ann Tomlinson, the expert on DI, differentiated instruction. Then we have tiered assignments, open-ended assignments. Then we embrace problem or project-based learning. Tips from experts, I actually combine them all together to make things easy for you. Ace the top, help them shine as well. 4 classroom elements to modify when we are in our classroom. The clap. We modify the content. We modify the learning environment for our lessons, the process, how we teach, and even the product. These are actual demonstration of what the students have come to know, be able to do, and understand. However, this will be given enough time on inclusive education. Wala pa nga po dito yung how to prepare the individualized education plan. Pero pauna lang po, pahapyaw lang po ito. Patikim lang. Okay. So in closing, my dear friends, go beyond the chartered mile. Okay? Build on what you really care about. As teachers, keep it fresh. Be creative. Creativity works, dare to be different. As we design the learning activities, the learning experiences of our students. In closing, my dear friends, I started the session with the story. I'll end my session with the story. Hope this will inspire everyone who are on board today. In closing, I'll give you a love story. Author unknown, but this was posted by Stephen on September 13, 2008 in Moral Stories, academictips.org. Okay, a love story. Let me narrate to you. You will see the story flash on your screen. Once there was a blind girl who hated herself just because she was blind. So there was this blind girl, but she hated everyone except her loving boyfriend, because in fairness, my forever sana. Pero may forever ba dito sa love story? Tingnan natin. You know, the boyfriend was always there for that girl, blind girl. One day, the blind girl told her boyfriend, "Oh, if only I could see the world, I would marry you." So because of that, one day, someone donated a pair of eyes to her. So when the bandages came off, she was able to see everything, including her boyfriend. He asked her, the boyfriend asked the girl, "Now that you can see the world, will you now marry me?" The girl looked at her boyfriend and saw that he was blind. The sight of his closed eyelids shocked the girl. She was not expecting to see a blind boyfriend. The thought of looking at him the rest of her life led her to refuse to marry him. OMG, walang forever pala sa love story ni Teacher Mars. Her boyfriend left her in tears, and days later wrote a note to her saying, napaiyak yung boy. Boys who are here, it's okay to cry. Sometimes it's okay to cry. You know, we need the tears sometimes to wash our eyes so we can see clearly. So in here, it's okay to cry. But days later, the boyfriend wrote a note to her saying, "Take good care of your eyes, my dear, for before they were yours, they were mine. Just take care of my eyes, dear." This is how the human brain often works when our status changes. Only a few of us would remember what life was like before and was always by our side in the most painful situations. So today, my dear friends, before you say an unkind word, think of someone who can't speak. Before you complain about the taste of your food, think of someone who has nothing to eat or who can't eat. Before you complain about your husband or wife, think of someone who are crying out to God for a companion. Before you complain about your children, ang mga bata, ang iingay, ang kukulit. Think of someone who desires children, but he or she is barren. Before you complain about your dirty house or someone who did not clean or sweep, ano ba to? Ang kalat-kalat, di ko nagluto, hindi ko naglinis. Think of someone who are also living on the streets. Today, before you complain about life, think of someone who went too early to heaven. And when you are tired and complain about your job, think of the unemployed, the differently abled, and think of those who wish they had your job today. And when depressing thoughts seem to get you down, put a smile in your face and thank God you're alive and still around. Smile, see miracles in life every day. That's the acronym for smile. The smile is an acronym. Life is a gift. Live it, enjoy it, celebrate it, and fulfill it. And one of the greatest blessings a gifted child or an exceptional child can have is a good parent, a very good administrator, teacher, one who is creative, innovative, one who always thinks positively, for there is always a better way. So let us bring out the best among our children with special needs. In closing, I give you Gabriela Mistral's poem from Chile. Many of the things we need can wait. The child cannot. Right now is the time. His bones are being formed. His blood is being made. And his senses are being developed. To him or her, we cannot say tomorrow because his name is today. With this, my dear friends, I say thank you. I love you all. Thank you very much. May the good Lord bless and keep you. You will and will always be special to Teacher Mars. And with heartfelt gratitude for all my references. Okay? Thank you so much. And I love you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marcia Rico. I am certain that the participants were inspired by those exceptional persons. We most definitely had fun in the games. And when you're looking forward to the prizes, don't forget your prizes, my dear Dr. Marsh.
Yes, I'll be sending it now via GCash to Kuya Gerard or Sir Ate Kat. Whoever has a GCash account. So that sila na lang magpadala doon sa mga padadalhan. That's one way of sharing the blessing as well.
Yes.
Thank you so
And
much.
I must say, we were challenged with the singing. Only you can ever do that. No matter how hard we try, we were challenged with the singing.
Oh, embrace the challenge, Ate Kat.
And with all humility, we do acknowledge that indeed so much more remains to be done in terms of embracing exceptionality and giftedness. And be assured that slowly we are working towards that, towards embracing giftedness and exceptionality. And we definitely will be embracing it with gratitude when we are faced with such students, for this is our chance to make a difference. So at this point in time, we will now award the certificate of appreciation to you, Dr. Marsh, for that exceptional talk indeed. So let me read the contents of the certificate. Republic of the Philippines, Bicol University Graduate School, PhDEF 312, Education and Multicultural Societies awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Marcia Corazon P. Rico in recognition for imparting her valuable insights as resource speaker in the webinar entitled Exceptionality in School Reforms as Facets of Multicultural Education with the topic Communities and with Families and educators working together for school improvement, given this 26th day of November in the year of our Lord 2022 at Bicol University Graduate School. Signed, Dr. Dolores D. Laguilla, Subject Professor, Dr. Lorna M. Minya, Program Advisor, and Dr. Herbert Rosana, Dean, Graduate School.
Thank
Again,
you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marcia.
Okay, thank you. I think that's the topic for my classmate, Sir Jeremy.
So,
Yes, thank you.
We would like to correct that, and let me reiterate again, the topic is on recruiting and retaining gifted students from different ethnic, cultural, and language groups. Thank you very much again, and we look forward to more engagements with you, Teacher Marsh.
No problem. My pleasure.
Salamat po. Salamat po. Sige po. Thank you. So, we shall now proceed with another equally competent speaker. This time, he will be introduced by Sir Rafael B. Puemya.
Hi, hello. May I know if I'm audible to you, Ma'am Kat?
Yes po.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am honored to introduce our supposedly first speaker, but because of his very busy schedule, he agreed, and with the consent also of the second speaker, we change order in the program. So our apologies to our participants for this slight change in the way we presented the topic. Our first speaker, now second speaker, is an alumnus of our college. He finished his Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education back in 1992. Then from then on, proceeded to earn his Doctor of Education degree, and currently he is working on his Doctor of Philosophy at Bicol College. Our friend rose from the rank. He started as a classroom teacher, and then from then on, there's no turning back for him. He started as a language teacher, and as a language teacher, he has several milestones. Among them, he was an outstanding teacher of Legazpi in 2002, and an outstanding school paper advisor of Legazpi for 3 consecutive years, 2003, 2004, and 2005, which makes him candidate for the award of Most Outstanding Secondary School Paper Advisor of the Bicol region in 2005. The next year, the National Organization for School Paper Advisors gave him the honor as the most outstanding paper advisor of the Philippines. That was in 2006. From then on, he proceeded and changed course from the classroom as a teacher to an administrator of the school. And true to his mandate and passion, he really worked very, very hard when he was already a school head, so much so that he was also awarded several awards as school administrator. Topping the award is he is the country winner for the Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organization Special Education Innovation Awards for 2022. Friends, I will not prevent you from listening to his sharing about his journey along school reforms and multicultural education. So help me welcome now, therefore, our resource speaker for that topic, Dr. Jeremy A. Cruz, Principal 3 of Legazpi City National High School, formerly the Pag-asa National High School. Sir, your floor is yours already.
OMG, Sir Pop, that's too much for an introduction. My warmest felicitations, of course, to my very dearest classmate, Mars Penetrante Rico, Ma'am Dali Laguilies, of course, my former college professor, my beloved Dr. Helen Lenaresas, and I also see in the Zoom the dean of the college, the graduate school. I really cannot say no to this invitation, and also I consider this as an assignment from a good friend, a dear brother. We call each other Tugang, Sir Pop, because you have to know, friends, that Sir Pop is one of the prime benefactors of our school. Later, as I share
Sorry,
my
mahina yung volume, Sir Jeremy. Wala daw po kayong audio, sabi ng aming technical person. So can you check? Are you using earphones?
hello, hello.
I think kung minsan yun yung nagpi-prevent
Wait.
na ano. Sorry to our audience po, sa FB Live.
Hello. Sorry, I have to change. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Still mahina pa rin.
Opo.
Mahina.
Naririnig po, pero mahina po yung audio.
Opo. Sir Jeremy, can you try unplugging first your yung ginagamit niyo pong earphones?
Yes.
Then
And
try speaking po kasi kung minsan mas
okay.
I'm not sure if this will work, pero nangyayari po yun kung minsan na humihina kapag gumamit noong earphones
Hello. Okay.
or microphones.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay po.
Okay na po.
Mahina pa rin, sir. Arnold, pwede si sir log out muna, just to, and then come back. Hindi ko alam kung pwede. Mahina pa rin, sir. Sayang naman po yung natin, opportunity. Ma'am Dali, nandito na po si Ma'am Helen po muna.
Hello. Okay na po ba?
Wala po atang microphone, sir, ang gamit ni sir na headphone.
Okay.
Hello.
Mahina pa rin siya, Sir Jeremy, pero mas nag-improve siya ng kaunti nang inalis mo po yung headphone.
Okay. So, okay na po? Not yet?
Not yet po. So, kaya, Ma'am Dali, can we move on? Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon si Sir to work technically.
Yes. No
Ma'am
problem.
Helen.
Okay na po?
Okay lang. Mahina, Sir Jeremy pa rin. Sayang naman. So we can I think do some adjustment muna. Nandito na kasi si Ma'am Helen din. Ma'am, sorry for this technical glitch na na-experience namin. But I think okay lang, Ma'am Dali, we can adjust.
Okay lang po, anything.
Para yung oras kasi, ma'am, ang iniisip din natin.
Okay po. We don't want to miss the very beautiful talk of Dr.
Jeremy Cruz.
So we will make some adjustments. So Ma'am Helen, okay lang Sir Jerry kung mauna si Madam Helen? Okay.
Okay.
Sige.
Okay, so sige. Teka po, I will just... Ma'am Kat, can you take over po ulit?
In behalf of God, who is responding to the call of nature, allow me, the teacher will always take over. So the introduction of our next guest speaker will be done by the class president of the subject, uh, Mr. Gerardo Lawenco Jr., to do the honors of introducing our next speaker. Gerard?
Thank you, Ma'am Dali. To talk about school reform and student learning, a multicultural perspective, our next speaker is the former Dean of Education and former Vice President for Academic Affairs of Bicol University. As the former Dean of the College of Education, she submitted the college for COE evaluation, making it the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education and the Center for Teaching Excellence in Region 5. Furthermore, under her leadership, the college pilot tested the curriculum initiative for teacher education. This ABBSE double degree curriculum is a 5-year CHED scholarship grant for 48 BUCE students. As one of the longest to have served as Vice President for Academic Affairs of Bicol University, she implemented through the VPAA office the university's development agenda and worked for the attainment of the highest academic standards by responding to the call for quality education through the pursuit of international and nationally recognized quality assurance of academic programs, research, and extension of the university. Along with this mandate, her work under the leadership of the university president achieved the following: AACUP accreditation of 78 degree programs ranging from candidate status to level 4 phase accreditation, ISO 9001-2008 certification of academic units in the university, and full implementation of university research and extension service undertakings. She led the colleges in the university in crafting the respective transformation plans for 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 following the curricular changes brought about by the implementation of the K-12 program. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she steered Bicol University under the President's leadership to stability and ensured that no one was left behind. She enjoys farming and is a doting grandmother to her 3 grandchildren. Indeed, our resource speaker is the epitome of leadership, excellence, character, and service. With great honor, I introduce to you Dr. Helen M. Linaresas, the former Dean of the College of Education and Vice President for Academic Affairs of Bicol University.
Nawala ako.
Diyan ka po, ma'am. Hindi ka nawawala. Always for us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Gerard, for that very nice introduction. I specifically gave instructions that I can simply be introduced as the retired Vice President for Academic Affairs of Bicol University. Good afternoon, everyone, particularly to the class of Dr. Dali Legilies, to the who rather sponsored this webinar, to the graduate school, to the College of Ed, Sir Pop, fellow educators, faculty members, our graduate students, the participants who are now on board, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, can
Good
you see me?
afternoon, madam.
Can you see me? Am I
Yes,
coming
ma'am.
out loud
Yes,
and
po.
clear?
Opo.
Okay, I hope my video is open. Okay, so Please allow me to share with you this afternoon my notes on school reform and student learning and multicultural perspective. Actually, this short lecture is of two parts. The first part is on the school reform and student learning, and the other part is on school reform and multicultural, or rather with multicultural perspective. Okay, so I think it would be safe for us to say that the most important role of our educational system is to build a brighter future for the students as professionals and as citizens. Educational experts claim that learning is the heart of schooling. That being said, student learning should be the focus of any school reform. This means that our educational policies and practices should be viewed in terms of their effect to both the learning process and the students' academic achievements. When we improve our education, this would require a comprehensive approach. You know, school reform has been the topic of urgent concern for decades and remains in the forefront of policy and practice, often prompted by particular historical events or even major policies. Just what do we mean by school reform? This refers to the process of making changes in educational policy or practice, often in response to concern over student academic achievement. You know, sometimes the term school reform is interchanged with education reform or school improvement. But the commonly used term actually is school reform. And all throughout the discussion this afternoon, we're going to make use of the term school reforms. Okay. Most school reforms actually fall into one of the two categories. The first one is teaching and learning, or simply what happens in the classroom. And the second one is the administrative reform, whereby either structures, governance, or decision-making strategies are addressed either within or outside of the school system. Actually, friends, there's a third emergent approach which combines both categories, and this typically is referred to as a comprehensive school reform. May I share with you notes on simple guidelines in the conduct of a comprehensive school reform process. The first one is, if you intend to carry out school reform, there's a need for you to conduct a needs assessment. This is usually known in the academe as SWOT analysis. We have to develop a data-driven process focused on identifying the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, as well as the challenges. The second one is for you to set benchmarks and goals. You have to establish a clear set of ambitious but measurable goals for the faculty members, the students, as well as the broader school community. Now, the third one is for the research assistance providers. If you intend to get the services of research providers, just so you will be helped in coming up with the true status of your school, you have to make sure that these providers have already demonstrated results. The fourth one is for you to select a school design. You have to undergo a deliberate and school-wide process to reach consequences on a unifying vision and focus on the school community. You also have to implement a continuous improvement focus. In this stage, you have to develop and organize how you are going to implement the school-wide improvement process using an external assistance provider if that is necessary. And the last one is for you to demonstrate public accountability for results. What does this mean? This simply means that you have to make a commitment to engage the community in a long-term dialogue focused on helping all students achieve at high levels. Friends, it can be noted that there are hundreds of reforms introduced in the school system around the world every year in terms of curriculum pedagogy, governance, technology, structure, and also along administration and management. Unfortunately, in most cases, such reforms fail to achieve the substantial improvements in student achievement. Major reforms are often triggered by economic, social, political, and even health crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Such reforms, however, can only bring about short-term, less substantial, or even insignificant changes in the student performance. Lower performing systems usually have large implementation gaps between enacted policies in the national level and what actually happens in the classrooms. It had been noted that there are frequent inconsistencies, for example, between the stated policy goals of higher order skills and the lower level tests that are used in the classrooms to assess them, or between the goals of schools and the conflicting orientation of the educational system that produce teachers. Indeed, sustaining reform programs past the initial stage of enthusiasm is one of the biggest hurdles that most schools face today. Another challenge in the conduct of a comprehensive school reform lies, in the paradox of creating a common vision among people with different beliefs and assumptions about education. Thus, there is a need for effective teachers and leaders who can work with diverse groups. In fact, leadership is vital for the successful implementation of any reform process. Now, let's take a look at the Philippine education scenario. The Philippines has embarked on education reforms that are considered crucial to its economic development, bringing its school system into the level of international standards and seeking to open up its higher education sector to more people while supporting the research and development that will raise the academic profile and bring lasting benefits to the country. In the Philippines, or in our country, school reforms instituted, just like in any other countries, aim for better quality of education and also more access. The country has a diverse and vibrant education system with both government and the private sector providing a wide range of education from early childhood to college and the university in the entire country. If you can recall, 3 years since the Enhanced Basic Education Act, or the K-12, was signed, the Philippines has finally embarked on its, we call it the most groundbreaking change in our school system, the K-12 reform. The K-12, as we all know, extends compulsory schooling to grades 11 and 12, adding 2 years to secondary school and making secondary education compulsory. Now, prior to its implementation, the Philippines was the only country in Asia and one of the only few in the world to have a basic education of just 10 years. Educators believe that the change was necessary for the students, the Filipino students, so that they will not fall behind their neighbors. In the implementation of the K-12, we all know that it required increased budget for education. And this means that the previous administration has given priority to human capital development. I think especially those in the academe would agree with me that much of the discussions on K-12 centered on the need to raise standards, improve teacher quality, and encourage completion on basic schooling. Reports, however, revealed that the dropout rates have remained high. There were continuous problems on access and inequality. There are also differences in the allocation to education in the different regions at the level of both national and local government. We also suffered from insufficient infrastructure to cope with the large student bodies at urban schools and higher rates of teacher absences. In addition to this, insufficient and poor quality facilities, particularly during the pandemic, and shortage of teachers were also noted. Lowest international benchmarks in math and low performance of pupils were also noted. In addition, we also have, poor performing higher education institutions based on the results of board examinations. In short, even with the implementation of the K-12 program, the quality of instruction in both basic and higher education sectors remained low. This was noted by or reported by the Asian Development Bank. The government, although it has overcome the substantial opposition to the implementation of the K-12 program, it had difficulty sustaining funding and support to the high demand on resources and the challenges in the fields because of its actual implementation. Now, these are considered crucial if we really intend to see a successful implementation of the K-12 program in the Philippines. Okay, now I think we can already proceed with our discussions on school reform with multicultural perspective. This is now the second part of my sharing for this afternoon. When we talk about multicultural education, we're sure that this can have major influence on how and to what extent students learn. I have here some of the goals of multicultural education, which includes, among others, educational equity, empowerment of students, their parents and caretakers, the development of a society that values cultural pluralism, intercultural or interethnic, intergroup understanding in the classroom, the school and the community, freedom for individuals and groups, and expanded knowledge of various cultural and ethnic groups. And the last goal is the development of students, parents, and practitioners whose thoughts and actions are guided by informed and inquisitive multicultural perspective. Perhaps some of us would want to know what cultural pluralism means. Well, this is a term we use when smaller groups within a larger society maintain their unique cultural identities. Their values and their practices are accepted by the dominant culture, provided, however, that such are consistent with the laws and the values of the wider society. Now, school reforms should therefore be approached with multicultural perspective, as decisions regarding school practices are influenced by broader social practices. Unfortunately, I think you will agree with me that many people assume that multicultural education consists of little more than isolated lessons in sensitivity training or prejudice reaction or units about cultural artifacts or ethnic holidays. Multicultural education requires more than that, because actually it requires a comprehensive school reform effort rather than superficial additions to the curriculum or the one-shot deal treatment about diversity, such as workshops for teachers or student assemblies. Rather, there should be systematic school reforms that can improve student learning. Now, the goal of multicultural education is to encourage the values of openness and acceptance towards people belonging to different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. I have here a definition of a multicultural education within a socio-political context. This was by Nieto and Pode, and it says it's a process of comprehensive school reform and basic education for all students. Multicultural ed challenges and rejects racism and other forms of discrimination in schools and society, and accepts and affirms pluralism, particularly ethnic, racial, linguistic, religious, economic, and gender, among others, that students, their communities, and their teachers reflect. It permeates the school's curriculum and instructional strategies, as well as interactions among teachers, the students, the families, and the very way that school conceptualize the nature of teaching and learning. Because it chooses critical pedagogy as its underlying philosophy and focuses on knowledge, reflection, and action as the basis for social change, multicultural education promotes democratic principles of social justice. Now, multicultural education advocates better opportunities for learning, especially for the marginalized. It helps the students acquire the knowledge and the commitment needed to make reflective decisions and to take personal, social, and civic action to promote democracy and democratic living. Embedded within its educational decision are assumptions about the nature of learning, about what particular students are capable of achieving, about whose language has value, and about who should be at the center of the educational process. Now, let's take a look at the conditions for systematic school reform with multicultural perspective. Okay. There are at least 5 conditions which I have listed down based on the references which I have. The first is on school reform. The first condition is that school reform should be anti-racist and anti-bias. The second one says that school reform should reflect an understanding and acceptance of all students as having talents and strengths that can enhance their education. School reform should be considered within the parameters of critical pedagogy, that the people most intimately connected with teaching and learning, such as the teachers, the families, the students, need to be meaningfully involved in the school program. And the last condition is that school reform needs to be based on high expectations and rigorous standards for all learners. Now, educational reforms should take into account both the micro and the macro level issues that affect student learning. What do we mean by micro level issues? Micro level issues include the cultures, the languages, the experiences of students and their families, and how these are considered in determining school policies and practices. On the other hand, macro level issues include racial stratification that helps maintain inequality and resources, and access to learning that schools provide or deny. What must be considered are the historical, the economic, socio-political, and moral components of racial stratification that have accumulated over time. There are researches conducted along this aspect, and one of the researchers pointed out the link between academic rigor with strong collaborative relationships among students and teachers. Such plays significant positive role in high achievement for the youth in economically strapped communities. Rather, in addition, when we talk of the first condition for systematic school reform with multicultural perspective, we can safely claim that an education, a multicultural education without an anti-racist focus can perpetuate the worst kinds of stereotypes if it focuses on the superficial aspects of culture and ethnic tidbits to the curriculum. Sadly, however, especially in some countries, institutionalized racism still exists in some schools. To become anti-racist, schools need to examine how the curriculum may perpetuate negative, distorted, or incomplete images of some groups, while we exalt others as makers of history. School reform should develop a more literate public through multicultural education. Let's take a look at the second one. School reform should reflect an understanding and acceptance of all students as having talents and strengths that can enhance their education. some educators talk about culturally deprived students. And also, the concept of culture is used by some teachers and students to perpetuate the stereotypes, such as the so-called culture of poverty. Instead of placing the blame on students, educators need to be aware of their biases that can act as barriers to student learning. Educators need to consider how the native language, for example, can influence student achievement. The talents and strengths of the students and their families as collaborators in developing the curriculum can help promote learning. Among educators, this is referred to as relations of power, where there is a shift from coercive to collaborative relations of power. The third one, is on school reforms. It should be considered within the parameters of critical pedagogy. What is critical pedagogy? It is an approach through which the students are encouraged to view what they learn in a critical light. This encourages the students to seek their own answers and not to take textbooks and lesson plans at face value. Here, they are encouraged to analyze different viewpoints and to try to include an inclusive environment in order for students to be comfortable enough to actively engage and respond. If you are particular with the word banking education, this is the opposite of what we are discussing now, which calls for the students to passively, banking education calls for the students to passively accept the content and the facts that are given from the curriculum. Okay, let's proceed to the fourth condition. The people most intimately connected with teaching and learning. Who are these people? Mahirap pala kapag hindi ka na nasanay mag-lecture, ano? Who are these people? They need to be, these are the teachers, the families, and the students who are meaningfully involved in the school reform. Student empowerment should be increased. This will lead to students feeling like they have a positive control over their education and lives outside of the class. Teachers should recognize that students have different perspectives which can help them as they learn if teachers allow them to do so. Teachers' creativity in creating a space for students to build community with their classmates and also allow the participation of parents in the classroom should be respected. And the last condition for a systematic school reform is the need for it to be based on high expectations and rigorous standards for all learners. Teachers should recognize that all students are academically capable. They should learn to pay attention to students' needs instead of criticizing their backgrounds. The school should be viewed as a place of hope by establishing equitable opportunities for all. In summary, to be able to integrate the perspective of multiculturalism in school reforms and student learning, the principles of multicultural education like content integration, the knowledge construction process, prejudice reduction, equity pedagogy, and empowering school culture and school structure should be strongly considered by educational leaders. With this, I say thank you very much, and once again, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Helen. As I stated in the message box, the requested simple introduction would do you injustice, for you had always been exemplary. So, thank you also for sharing to us the Philippine scenario. As we are speaking here, while you were also discussing, we thought that it's quite sad to know all those things, and at the same time challenging. It led us to ask the question of what should we do, and where are we supposed to place ourselves to become positive agents considering all these challenges. Indeed, your many years as Vice President for Academic Affairs and your groundedness on the school setup have led you to look at the situation from the lens of excellence. And you have been, is, and will always be a woman of excellence.
Wow.
Salamat po. Sobra.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we will now award you with the Certificate of Appreciation.
Yes, excuse me, Kath.
What?
I would just like to make a slight correction. I am a doctor of education, not a doctor of philosophy.
Yes, opo, ma'am.
Yes.
We will make the necessary
Yes,
corrections.
thank you very
Salamat po.
Opo.
Salamat po. So the Certificate of Appreciation is presented Dr. Helen M. Yanaresas in recognition for imparting her valuable insight as resource speaker in the webinar entitled Exceptionality and School Reforms as Facets of Multicultural Education, with the topic School Reform and Student Learning, a Multicultural Perspective, given this 26th day of November 2022 at the Bicol University Graduate School, signed Dr. Dali Legilies, Subject Professor Dr. Lorna M. Minya, Program Advisor, and Dr. Herbert Rosana, Dean of the Graduate School. Thank you very much, Ma'am Helen, for the time spent, and most of all for the expertise that was also shared and the knowledge that was shared.
Thank you so much.
We are always very glad to listen to you and to see you. You're still as beautiful and as excellent as ever. So we shall now, salamat po. So we shall now proceed with our third speaker. And to introduce our third speaker, let me call again Rafael B. Buemia. Sir Pop, please.
I think, Ma'am Kat, I would forgo with that due to time limitations kasi na-record na po yung introduction ko po.
Sige
I think
po.
we can call on now our
Dr. Jeremy Cruz. So I would like to introduce again Dr. Jeremy Cruz. Ikaw na po, sir. Thank you very much for the time.
Am I naririnig na po?
Opo, naririnig po, sir. Medyo mahina lang, pero naririnig po.
Okay. Okay na po? Audible na po tayo? Hello?
Po, naririnig po.
Okay na, sir.
Okay, I'd like to share first. Uy, pasensya na po. Nasaan na yung share dito? Share screen. Then here. This one. Okay. Is my presentation seen by everyone po? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, Actually, I'm not going to give a lecture here because I'm just going to share with you some practices of the school about the topic assigned to me by my good friend, by my brother. It's communities, families, and educators working together for school improvement. What is beautiful, I consider this a blessing because I guess my sharing is actually the summary of the shared discussions of my good friend and classmate Dr. Mars and my beloved professor Madam Helen. Thank you very yes. So communities, families, and educators working together for school improvement. My good friend, the extremely gifted and talented Dr. Mars, shared with all of us about the beauty of giftedness. Being different is not really something that we should be sad about. Being different is a beautiful gift from above. And I thank him because I am able to I have survived this technical problem or glitch, and thanks to my apo for helping me connected, particularly my audio. So let me go on and continue with my sharing with you today. So these are actually practical experiences of our school that actually is as an strong advocate of inclusive education. Legazpi City National High School, formerly Pag-asa National High School, is actually considered by the Department of Education as model school in inclusive education in the whole country. But of course, my topic is not really about special education. It has something to do with how partnership works in our school community so that our goal of improving the competencies and of course forming the values of our children for these children to become productive members of the communities. DepEd believes that we form individuals who are blending both character and excellence. So let me start by presenting to you by what one of my favorite women in the world said when she was still alive. She said, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." So I have always believed that sabi nga natin, although it's very passé, no man is an island. No matter how beautiful your dream is, but if you don't have anyone or some people working with and for you, you will never achieve your goal. You will never achieve what you want really to happen. And as a school administrator and as a teacher, it is my dream to see our students not only graduate, but they become productive members of the communities whose values and competencies blend together. Sabi nga ni Baga sa Bicol, mas maray na ang medyo maluya ang isip na nanawawani-wani kesa sa matali na maraot man ang ugali. I have always put premium on the character of every individual. One who is educable, one who is trainable, not necessarily being the best in competence or skills, because if the heart is bigger or the heart is blending with excellence, with skills, then the rest will follow. What is unique with our school improvement plan is that I guess in the whole country, we are the only school whose SIP has a title, and it's LCNHS Global Citizenship Education Project. This is actually in support to UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals. Pangarap ko na ang mga estudyante namin, ang mga graduado namin ay hindi lang para makibaka sa buhay nila dito, sa community nila, kundi makibaka sa malaking aspeto ng kanilang pagkabuhay. We want our children to be global leaders and global servants. It's not only developing their academics, their competencies, but more importantly, developing the character. Kaya nga po, ang aming main mantra is LCNHS Character and Excellence in Diversity. Nauna ang character sa excellence. And there is the word diversity because we believe in the giftedness of each and every individual in the world. I always tell and emphasize to our teachers and to anyone that if you have a class of 50, then there will be 50 different contexts, there will be 50 different personalities, 50 different persons who actually need different approaches, different strategies. Kung minsan tayong mga teacher medyo bias tayo, 'di ba? Sino ba ang kung sa Bicol, sisi ang pigsusugo ta. Sumagayon, sumaamot, sugwapo. Pero sunahiling tang pangit o medyo mapanos, dahil pigsusugo. So, beauty, even this one, is actually associated with trust and confidence, which is actually very unfair. One of the stories who has a great influence in me is the three letters of Teddy. If you have read the story, the teacher Miss Thompson actually played favorites when she was a teacher until she met Teddy. And Teddy was very lanky, very slow, and actually he's supposed to be Teddy was always promoted sa satuya pigaputa na pasang awa until Christmas came and everybody had a gift for the teacher, but the teacher was very apprehensive to open the gift. The gift that she received from Teddy was wrapped in a paper supot, the one that we use when you buy pandesal, and Teddy drew some Christmas icons. And the teacher was like, afraid to open because she was expecting something that would put Teddy into abashment. But that did not happen. What the teacher got inside the paper bag was a half-filled bottle of cologne, and then a bracelet with some rhinestones missing. And then just to please Teddy, the teacher dabbed a little amount of perfume and then wore the bracelet. And when Teddy saw that, Teddy said, "Teacher, you look and smell exactly like my mom." So that was the turning point in the life of the teacher. Then the first letter came when the Teddy was already in the university. Teacher, I did not know that life here in the university is very hard, but I am surviving. 7 years later, she received the second letter, and then the letter said that he was graduating on top of the class. And the third letter came inviting the teacher to act as the mother of Teddy during the wedding procession because the mother died 2 years ago. And then the name was already something different. The name Teddy had 2 additional letters, Teddy MD. So Teddy became a doctor. So we never know the influence that we give to our children. Children who may be academically deprived, children who are economically inferior, children of different types. I thank my good friend Mars for introducing inclusive education. But of course, I will not be able to share that with you today also because of the limit in time. Anyway, continuing, we put premium on our learners. That's why one of our mantras is the LCNHS Aki and Bida. All the programs and projects, initiatives, activities that we do and present should actually support this aphorism. Otherwise, they should not be implemented. Bata ang kailangang mauna, hindi si teacher. Pag halimbawa walang faculty room si bata, classroom si bata, dapat yung faculty room pwedeng i-sacrifice ni teacher o even ni principal. So that's how system should work in a school organization, especially in in a so-called Department of Education because we lack facilities. Alam na ang iba yan dito because I see familiar faces here who are actually from DepEd also. And to achieve our vision, we have our quality policy process. LCNHS commits to strive for a culture of character and excellence by continuously adopting innovations and embracing trends for the highest level of satisfaction of its diverse clientele. So how do we do this? How do we make our vision
Nah,
achieved or attained?
iya.
Hello,
Yang kau yang pelan.
hello. Okay pa po ba? Hello? Naririnig pa po ba ako?
Yes.
Opo.
Okay.
Opo.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I am afraid that I have been disconnected. Anyway, continuing, our programs and projects are actually categorized into 3 areas which are actually responding to the school-based management principle on 1. Access, 2. Quality and relevance, and 3. Management of education services. If you go to our school, you will see a very big tarpaulin with the names of the programs and projects. And at the center is the LCNHS Global Citizenship Education Project name. So they have different colors because they belong to different categories of areas of concern. And to achieve this, one of the programs here in which I am presenting to you now is what we call Kasurogs, or community and other stakeholders united for the realization of the optimum growth of students. We want to partner with individuals, not for the principal's caprice or for anyone's caprice, but basically to assist our children so that their performance will improve and their families will also improve. That's the end goal. That's why we keep on partnering. But partnering is not that easy because it's not begging and appearing that we are beggars. No, hindi po ganon. That's why if you are a friend in my FB, in FB, you won't read very negative stories or complaints. I post positive stories, beautiful stories, because the kind of the post that we have on our FB is a reflection of our personality. So ganon yun. Yung aming Kasurogs has actually its own mantra, which is an anuman na magabat minagian kung tuturuangan. I have always believed in the spirit of working together and volunteerism. Sometimes, and most of the time rather, I feel so sad that some teachers in the field would count the number or minutes that they spend in school and that they expect something in return. Sabi nga pigataramtan yung mga maisip na an iba. But we continuously change this kind of culture. We want teachers, to spend extra time in school to develop and to help our children. I introduced in 2018 my framework on principal partnership. Partnership should start from problem identification. It's not the school administrator that singularly identifies. Identification of problems should be team-based. That's why before the start of the crafting of the school improvement plan or the annual implementation plan, a group of different sectoral representatives gather and identify the challenges facing the school. And then the same people actually do the planning of how these challenges or problems can be solved. Then next would be resource gathering. We have a group of teachers, stakeholders who are actually in charge of gathering resources. We actually go from one radio station to another, not to solicit, but to promote our programs and projects. Then what is important next is trailblazing leadership. Kailangan ang school administrator, ang leader, makita na malakas hindi naman necessarily na mayabang, hindi mayabang. Ang sinasabi natin, kailangan kumuha ng lakas ang mga kasama natin sa isang leader. Kasi kung ang isang leader ay mahina ang loob, we won't be able to get rather or receive the kind of support that we expect from our stakeholders. Next is nurturing relationship. Ang pagpapartner sa isang stakeholder ay hindi nagtatapos sa pagtanggap lamang ng tulong, but we continuously say hi on FB. Kumusta po kayo? We have the e-Christmas card, e-Valentine card, and so on and so forth. And next is evaluating activities. Hindi lang ini-evaluate ni principal. Sorry to tell these friends, but I am not part of the evaluating team because sectoral representatives are actually part of the evaluation team. We call it SBME, Monitoring, Evaluation, and Assessment Team. Then of course, reporting and rewarding. Importante na malaman ng stakeholders, ng partners natin kung saan napupunta ang kanilang tulong o presensya. There are stakeholders who would not want to be named or acknowledged, but to us, hindi pwede yan. Kailangan i-document. And then the cycle continues. So that's the framework works in our system. Next. Okay, hindi siya gumagalaw. Yan. One of our programs that is so rich actually is our ISPED or Inclusive Special Education. When I became principal in 2015, there was this great wall that divided the regular school, Pag-asa National High School, and then the SPED Center. But because there is the department order for the SPED Center to be included in the regular school, so the Rawi SPED Center for high school became part of Pag-asa National High School. Ang liit-liit ng campus nila, yung grade, yung 6 years old, kaklase, 18 years old, and I saw the kind of deprivation na sabi ko dapat at least makita ko man lang yung change sa behavior. And I saw and felt the absence of the link or the connection between training in school and work opportunities. So what we did was to assess the children, and I would like to say this publicly now in our meet. Thank you to Gang Pap Buemia, because Sir Pap was the one who financed the assessment that we conducted in 2015, and that gave us the opportunity to mainstream our students assessed to be capable of receiving regular classes or education, and those who cannot cope with academics, those who have like profound or severe cases, we have the transition vocational program. DepEd did not say you to have vocational program. DepEd said you have to have a transition, but sa amin hindi po. It's a combination of transition and vocational program. So literally, as I said, giniba natin ang bakod. So we have mainstream and transition vocational. Ang dami-daming pumupunta sa school namin as far as tabako. But I am not happy because the regular schools where the child belongs, dapat doon siya. Hindi yung mamamasahe pa ang mga bata. But medyo hindi pa handa ang karamihan ng mga paaralan sa atin to mainstream our learners with special educational needs. Yung transition vocational program namin is an indigenized curriculum. I am not the type of a boxed person na ito yung binigay ni DepEd and yun din ang i-implement. Kasi hindi naman natin mapipilit ang bata. I find it very sad that a learner with disability who cannot cope with academics is forced to learn English, is forced to learn mathematics. Hindi niya yun kaya. So kailangan talaga ang formal, I call it formal medical assessment. That's why yung transition vocational program namin, they have their own ICT laboratory kasi may mga estudyante kami na mahilig mangimit-imit, so that we provide this kind of technology. Then we have our dressmaking and tailoring shop. All of these laboratories are because of the members of the communities who share the passion and the same love for these special children. Hindi ko na ito ipi-play, but one of our graduates in the dressmaking course is actually now working in a local tailoring shop, and he was featured by ABS-CBN. Kasama siya last year sa Christmas Station ID ng ABS, but I'm sorry, sayang hindi ko mapi-play. We also have our bakery laboratory solely for the transition vocational students. Yan si JJ, mahilig yan mag-selfie, and most of the pictures that I got sa mga outputs nila ay galing sa kanya, pero ngayon hindi na kasi bawal nang makipag-associate sa bata. But that's our bakery laboratory, and we want to improve that kasi medyo may challenge kami sa facilities. Yan yung mga bata. And then in 2018 we produced 10 i-play ko na lang ito lang siguro ang i-play ko po. I'd like to cut the video. All of these 10 passed the NC2, but then I had difficulty personally convincing establishments to accommodate them. So, pinush ko yung pangarap ko. When I went to Korea, I saw a school that actually has a canteen whose the products ng mga SPED learners nila ay nandoon. So, kinontextualize ko siya. Through the help of JCI Legazpi, we were able to put up our Coffee Well. It's a commercial coffee shop whose employees are SPED graduates and learners of our institution. So it also becomes a laboratory. So yung pagmamahal ng mga taong ito ng JCI Legazpi ang dahilan kung bakit kami ay merong coffee shop. Yan. That's Evangeline Imperial, one of the prime benefactors of our school, and that's Mary Joy, BPP graduate. We provided training kasi yung ano ba yung pangalan, nakalimutan ko. We trained our SPED students and graduates coffee making, and the coffee shop also becomes an avenue for concerts. This is Justin, grade 11 mainstream, pero ayaw niyang sabihin na siya ay may autism. So he held concert there. It's a paper presentation. So that's the kind of partnership that we do in our school. And it also becomes a training venue for parents, even for parents. And this is one of the features. Hindi na yan, madrama yan. Then we also have a beauty parlor sa Transition Vocational. I want you to meet Jeff. Jeff is a regular employee of F Salon. So if you want to have yourselves beautified, punta kayo sa F Salon or Evegate, because these are the two beauty parlors that have accepted our graduates. We also have a commercial beauty parlor at the main campus. Kaso nagkaroon ng pandemic, natigil ang operation nito. Itong beauty parlor ay naging commercial beauty parlor because of our partnership with other benefactors. Ayan. Okay. We continuously provide opportunities to our children. That's Miss Earth candidate, Miss Portugal in 2019, and Gobind did a gown for the Miss Earth. Jeff did a makeup for Miss Costa Rica. In 1.5 years alone, because of the help of our partners, we produced 27 NC2 holders who are actually learners with special educational needs. What is our mainstream program? These are those students who are actually academically competent. The video will tell you how we started in 2016. So we provide continuous training to teachers. Kailangan na magmula sa teacher muna ang pasensya, ang pag-intindi at pagmamahal. Kasi kung si teacher ay hindi na-immerse sa ganitong uri o konteksto ng edukasyon, kawawa ang mga bata. Hindi porket sila ay sasabihin na SPED sila, hindi pwede. SPED sila, kailangan nilang maranasan ang ginagawa ng mga regular students. That's why this is Pamela and Jenica, who actually belong to the first batch of our senior high school mainstreamed. Where are they now? For 4 years now, they have been working at McDonald's Gaisano. Pinapajoy namin sila sa regular contest ng aming school. Mr. and Miss, sinasabihan namin ng judges, do not give them special awards kasi naaawa kayo. No. If they deserve, they should win. If they do not, okay lang yan. We allow them to enjoy like intramurals, pig catching. That's also one of our poverty alleviation programs. Kaso hindi nanalo yung LC namin kasi hindi niya narinig yung biig. Joke lang. Yan. Kahit bingi karamihan, marunong sumayaw. As a matter of fact, Jeff became champion in our Pag-asa Got Talent back in 2017. Miss Catriona Gray, after being crowned Miss World Philippines, visited our school in 2016, and I did not ask teachers or hearing persons to interview. It's Pamela, deaf and mute. And sabi ni Catriona, this is the most difficult question I have ever received kasi she could not answer all the while. She was crying. When the Mr. Grand International candidates visited our school, it's another deaf who interviewed. Nagkataon na si Mr. Netherlands notes pala sign language, so they understood each other. We involve our children to contests that are regular DepEd contests for so long a time. Pag SPED lang ang kalaban. Ngayon, inumpisahan namin. Sabi ko kay Mary Joy, you have to work with Raymark. It's okay if you don't win. What is important is we tell people that you can do it. And sobrang pagmamahal ni Lord, naging regional champion pa sila and they placed 5th in the national level. This is Jenica. Sabi ko sa iyo, where is Jenica now? She is a permanent employee at Gaisano McDonald's, and she became our resource speaker or guest speaker during our completion rites. Baliktad na. Dati siya, ini-interpret siya ni teacher niya nung completion rites, naging siyang speaker, siya ang nag-interpret for her teacher. Or even cultural activities, hindi sila nakapagsasalita but their presence has a very strong message to the world. Kaya kahit sa ibalong, sabi ko, Mayor, you give me a truck because isali natin sa ang mga SPED, i-promote natin. Oh, diba? So that's the kind of opportunities that we provide. And our advocacy is non-stop. When we went to Singapore in 2019, I was with some teachers and students who competed in international research contest. We attended the Purple Parade. Purple Parade is a week-long celebration of the abilities of the disabled. Sabi ko, i-contextualize natin. Hanggang nagkaroon kami ng Red Parade. It's called Red Parade because it's celebrated in February. So, meron kaming mga activities. Sabi ko, lahat na tayo, accepted na natin, binigay na natin sa mga sa parents and everything. So, kailangan i-involve natin ang bigger communities. Kaya I wrote Vice Mayor Cristobal to include in their legislative agenda the inclusion of an ordinance or resolution that will celebrate the abilities of the disabled. So ito napirmahan na ni Mayor Rosal on August 21, and it's now an ordinance institutionalizing the city annual celebration of the national disability and so on. There is a fund for like 4 million so that the whole city will celebrate. Personally, pinilit ko ito kasi gusto kong mabungog ang mga establishments for our graduates and other graduates, LSENs, na ma-accommodate. While sinasabi ng iba na ang SM nag-accommodate, pero I see one SPED nasa CR palagi. So, it's not the kind of dream that I'm working for. para sa mga students namin. We have a magazine solely for our special education initiatives. Like one day, every year, we allot a day, no talking, only sign language. Kahit yung mga clients namin, hindi ako nagsasalita. And they should also support by just writing or in any language that they can do. I have always believed that if there are no available opportunities, facilities, then we build new doors and dami-dami dyan because many are just waiting. They just don't know whom to partner with. So our support programs include our Irahay or improvement of physical and repair of amenities for higher academic learning. So and so on and so forth. Yan. Ito naman yung sinabi ni Madam na Mars sa inclusion. We have open high school program. We have Spanish language education, and next year we're going to offer Korean language because 2 of our teachers are on their 9-month scholarship program on Korean language. This is also one of the programs that I so love. It's tutorial and assistance for improved skills. You know, friends, when we assessed our students in 2019, 43 of them, grade 7 entrants, were under frustration level and some were literally non-readers. There were 4 grade 8 who were non-readers. So that was very alarming, and that was before when the crisis in reading and numeracy in the whole country was sensationalized all over in the whole country. So because of the initiatives and partnerships that we do, from 47 students, we at the end of the school year, we had 0 student under frustration level. And for this school year, very alarming na naman. We provided an assessment that is not actually a multiple choice type of test. It's like in mathematics. If 9 is added to 9, what is the sum? Can you imagine that from among the more than 500 grade 7 entrants, not even 50 got the correct answer because some of them had reading difficulties or challenges. That's why with our partnership, we were able to put up a TAI Center for Math and English or Reading, and TAI's coordinators are so inspired to really assist our children because, as I said, we indigenize curriculum. For instance, grade 7 competency dapat ito. Yan ang sinabi ni DepEd. Pero sa amin, hindi pwede. Bakit? Kahit pilitin natin na ang competencing ito ay ituro sa mga bata, hindi nga nila na-master ang prerequisite skills. So how can they understand the required competencies required in a particular grade level? We also prepare students, but we do this at the start of the school year. We identify who will be our contestants in different fields and provide enhancement activities. We have applying research for the advancement of learning in the whole Philippines. I should say we are the school with the highest number of researches, particularly during the pandemic. 8 LGU funded and 4 BER funded. Ako, ang dami-dami ko nang na-research, hindi para sa promotion, but because I want to provide scientific interventions. Last year, I came up with the coping mechanisms of the mainstream students in Legazpi City Division in the new normal. What did I find out? 1, may isang parent nagbabayad, hindi para tulungan ang bata. Nagbayad ang pamilya para sumagot ng modules. Because we want our children to be global, we have established an ink partnership with some schools in Malaysia, Sweden, Singapore, and even Thailand. We do benchmarking, and the things that we appreciate and we say can be implemented in our school, we contextualize. In Korea, ang clinic nila parang hospital. Sabi ko, gawin natin, bili tayo sa ukay-ukay. Sabi naman ng supply officer, sir, wag naman na ukay-ukay. Yan, naging yan. Kaso, kung minsan, because air-conditioned, especially nung first na ginawa yan, maraming clients kasi nga malamig. We are religious in checking the attendance of our children, and those identified to be at risk of dropping out are actually brought to our Bisita program. There are rules in conducting Bisita. Number one, the teacher or even the principal should not inform the parents that there will be a Bisita. Otherwise, the parents will have to look for and make utang, Coke and Skyflakes kasi darating si teacher or si principal. I personally conduct home visitations. We have extended our guidance and counseling services to the communities, so that's why we have our GIA, or Guidance and Intervention for Youth Aspirations. We do it in the communities. We go to the different catchment barangays and provide counseling services to the communities. We have GIA hubs where there are educational resources, musical instruments, and other sports equipment. We have I coordinate or link with friends, mostly friends, benefactors who support our helps. It's a financial scholarship program that provides weekly allowance to identified learners, not necessarily the academically gifted. Benefactor shares 3,000 in a year, and the amount is divided in 2 weeks. So a scholar receives his allowance on a weekly basis. Hindi malaki, maliit ang amount, but at least something for the stomach, for the child to sustain his presence in the school. We continuously kasi we conducted a survey for the home learning spaces of our children, and many do not even have study tables and chairs. So because of that, 100 pairs of them from benefactors. We have yearly, we celebrate our Paskong LCNHS. So every year there's a livelihood initiative like Biik, Padyak, Kambing, Tusok-Tusok. Binibigyan, like last year we gave Biiks to some identified families. We also provide training for parents because kung bata palagi ang tutulungan, ay isa lang ang tutulungan. Pero kung parents, you multiply the number of dependents in a family. We make connections with different agencies. And then this one I'd like to share with you, Lab sa Barangay, because we wanted to bring the library services, especially during the pandemic, and we were able to put up 5 community libraries, and out of the 5, 2 are Wi-Fi connected. And Sir Pop Buemia and Dr. Alan Shapira are actually our major benefactors for this initiative. They donated the basic furniture for the 5 community libraries. Of course, it's our globally popular. We have Tindani Honesto or Honesty Store. Prior to the naging sikat yung community pantry, we already had the And then this is the one that I was talking about, International Linkage Program. It's an Inc. partnership with the Futuraskolan International School in Stockholm, Sweden, in Malaysia, Gombak Fully Residential School, and the King's College in Thailand. Yan. What is beautiful with our Kwarposa is yung magulang nakaka-receive ng MP2 card, My Parent, My Pride Award. If the child receives an honor card because the child gets an average of 90 or better, then the parents receive MP2 cards as well. And during recognition or graduation, they receive medals. Kailangan sa assister namin or instructional supervision, bawal number 1 na mag-observe ang teacher or department head o principal na galit o may problema, because it will translate sa observation. We need to inspire our teachers, hindi yung panay hanap ng mali. Okay? Our initiatives or advocacies actually continue. And of course, kailangang ma-recognize ang efforts ng bawat isa, but it has to be based on policies or guidelines. So these are our teachers, some of our teachers who received the Pag-Onra. We conduct search for outstanding alumni to improve partnership, Ulirang Pamilya Awards, and then of course, ang importante is to monitor, evaluate the implementation of the programs. Wala po dyan ang principal because magiging subjective siya. So kailangan ma-receive lang ni principal ang report, ang assessment, and then the proposals for suggestions. I have always believed that for our learners to improve and their families, for us to empower our learners of all ages and types, for them to take active roles in building a more peaceful, inclusive, and secure communities, we must altogether provide them with varied learning opportunities that will make them critical thinkers who are caring and self-reflecting. I'd like to put an end by showing this video. Friends, hanggat may mga RJ, may mga Pamela at may mga Jenica sa ating lipunan, hindi tayo titigil sa pagbubuo ng mga pangarap at hindi tayo titigil sa paghahanap ng mga oportunidad upang ang mga pangarap na ito ay magkaroon ng katuparan. So with this, I'd like to say thank you very much to Gang, Pop, Ma'am Dali, and everyone for having this very engaging activity. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Sir Jeremy Cruz, for walking us through what your school does in line with giving value to your learners. At salamat po, base sa sinabi mo, salamat po sa pagtupad ng pangarap ng mga mag-aaral sa iyong paaralan. Sigurado po na hanggang sa kanilang pagtanda, parati ka po nilang maaalala. Now, indeed, we have seen how your school promotes your students' uniqueness, their talents, and now we understand why you are a multi-awardee. So from the PhDEF class, we would like also to say congratulations, and we are honored to have you as our speaker for this afternoon. We've learned a lot of what we can do and what we still have to do. So with that, we will now award the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Jeremy Cruz. So let me read the citation. So this Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Jeremy A. Cruz, EDD, in recognition for imparting his valuable insights as resource speaker in the webinar entitled Exceptionality in School Reforms as Facets of Multicultural Education, with the topic Communities, Families, and Educators Working Together for School Improvement, given this 26th day of November on the year of our Lord 2022 at Bicol University Graduate School, signed Dr. Dali Laguilya, Subject Professor, Dr. Lorna M. Minya, Program Advisor, and Dr. Herbert Rosana, the Dean of the Bicol University Graduate School. Again, salamat po. We took note of the activities you do in your school. Thank you, thank you. So at this point, we are now open for questions from both the Zoom and the Facebook Live of Bicol University and the BU Extension Office. We are going to welcome 3 questions. Much as we would like to welcome a lot of questions from your group, particularly from the participants, we could not do that because of time constraints. But nonetheless, we will be welcoming 3 questions. You may type in your questions through the message box for the participants from the Zoom. And for those in Facebook Live, you may also type in your questions. And while we are waiting for your questions, we would like also to announce that Dr. Rico have already sent the prizes. So we would like to request the following persons to send your GCash number to Professor Gerardo Lowenco. So that would be Ma'am Feliciana Balingasa, Sir John Henry Briones, Opry Galliano, Franco Gomez, Ma'am Diane of Comalig National High School, and Hanilet Arandia. Nandun po, tinupad po yung promise na prize as always. Ma'am Marcia would always do that. So please, thank you, Ma'am Marcia. And again, send your GCash number to Sir Gerard Lowenco, please. So questions? Ang ating mga able, competent, at very generous speakers ay talagang nag-share ng kanilang oras para sa atin at sasagutin din po kayo nila kung may tanong.
Hello, Ma'am Kat.
Yes po.
Ma'am Kat,
yes po.
Binuksan ko po yung registration ng ating mga participants. Remember, may registration po baga tayo? At meron po yung item na tinanong ko sila kung ano yung gusto nilang itanong sa ating mga resource persons. Can I be allowed to share one question?
Yes po.
Okay, this is the question, and I think the 3 of our resource person can answer this. What school reform, if there is one, which you consider to have the biggest impact on student learning? Nakuha po ba? Narinig?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Yes.
Opo. Kahit po sino po sa 3, pwede pong sumagot.
Sir Pop, can I be recognized?
Ay, ma'am, sige po.
Ah, yeah.
Si Ma'am
Yes.
Kat po, hindi ko po kayo makita, ma'am, kasi nakaano po ako. Si
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
yes po, Ma'am Helen.
Okay.
hindi po
Okay.
ata directed talaga yon.
Oo nga eh. Before I retired from the university almost 2 years ago, we have implemented school reforms, and I think the most significant one is on the comprehensive revision of our curricular programs to align such programs to the implementation of the K-12. In fact, that was rather tedious. That was a tedious process in the university. Because we really had to make sure that we still establish the connection between where the K-12, the courses or the subjects that they have already taken up in the K-12 program. Remember, we have added 2 more years. So we had to revise the curricular offerings to be able to bridge the gap between the connection between the K-12 and the curriculum or the curricular offerings in the university or in the colleges of education. And I think the same thing were also done in the elementary as well as in the basic education. And another challenge was the time when we had the pandemic. Aside from the revisions in the curriculum, we also had to do a lot of reforms in the way we deliver the courses via mixed mode online, and then to consider that no one, I think, was ready to implement such program or such changes during the pandemic. So I think Mars and Sir Jeremy can add to what I have shared this afternoon.
Marsh and Dr. Jeremy, who would also like to answer the question first from the two of you po. The most significant educational reform.
Okay. Ma'am Kat, and may I be recognized? Okay.
Yes po, Ma'am Marcia.
Saving the best for last later for my classmate Jeremy, because marami talaga mga programs and projects talaga ng aking kapatid na yan. Okay, so for me, one of the major talagang educational reform, of course, we all know K-12 is a major educational reform. What I like with it is the contextualization. So para sa akin, doon po isang feature talaga ng curriculum should be contextualized. Ginawa din natin ito sa university nung nagkaroon tayo when we had the blended learning, flexible learning modality where we have to contextualize our learning experiences, our materials, always taking into consideration the context of the experiences of our students, making learning relevant, meaningful, student-centered. So what I felt na would be one major reform talaga, hindi lang sa curriculum pero sa pagtuturo, ay yung contextualization na ginagawa ng mga guro. Kahit sa DepEd po, open sila dyan. We prepare contextualized learning materials, and we always take into consideration the experiences, the situation of our learners, their needs, their abilities. So we just have to make learning relevant, meaningful for our students. Yun po. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Marcia. Dr. Cruz.
Yes, thank you, Kath. Yeah, I'd like to make a connection to what my good friend Dr. Mars said. It has also something to do with including learners of all types, ages, iba-iba ang kwento nila, but they should not be deprived of the opportunities that other learners who can be gifted in different levels are enjoying. So when in 2015, we actually started a mainstream program in our school. And that to me is, of course, a practice of or support to inclusion. It's only now this year that the Department of Education introduced the inclusion, actually recommended for the Republic Act, the Inclusive Education Act 2022, which was signed by the former President, President Duterte, and it allows actually learning centers or inclusive learning centers in all municipalities or in all cities in the country. And it's also telling the SPED centers to include their SPED students or their LSENs in regular setup. To me, I believe that inclusion is not only about SPED, it's about financial status or capacities of children. So if we want our policies to be inclusive, like this Christmas, will it be inclusive if we let our children, all our students, contribute 100 pesos for as contribution for the Christmas party? Policies should be all-inclusive. Hindi pwedeng para lang sa mayaman. It pains me so much because there are schools na ang SPTA contribution is as high as 1,500. Yung neighbor ko, actually, siya ang naglalaba, and hinihingaan siya ng 1,500 for SPTA contribution. Di ba? Parang kawawa naman yung hindi kasali. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cruz. Taking note from what the three of you said, there are already so many significant reforms, but so much more remains to be done. And we, as teachers and as PhDEF students, would have a lot to do if ever given the chance to contribute to those reforms, which, well, may be a bit problematic and challenging for us. But if we are already in that place, then I think the principles and philosophies that were taught to us would be the one that would rule over us and our fears of undertaking those reforms. So may I ask further if you still have other questions from the participants, please? Parang kasi na-discuss talaga ng maayos, sobra-sobra. In fact, itong 3 oras na ito ay kulang. Sana ginawang series ito, no? Para tigta 3 oras yung bawat isa, separate days lang. Kasi sa pakikinig sa sinabi po ninyo, na-realize po namin na napakarami pa po sana kaming natutunan at na-expound po sana yun ng mas sobra-sobra pa. Siguro sa mga darating na mga subjects, kung mabibigyan po ng pagkakataon, ay may expand pa po namin yan ng maigit. So I think there are no more questions. Again, thank you very much. Thank you so much to the three of you. We really, really learned a lot. From the deepest recesses of our being, we are extremely grateful. So we shall now proceed with the awarding of the certificate to our participants. So, my dear participants, let me read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Bicol University Graduate School, PhDEF 312, Education and Multicultural Societies awards the Certificate of Participation for actively participating in the webinar entitled Exceptionality in School Reforms as Facets of Multicultural Education, sponsored by the PhDEF class of Bicol University Graduate School, held on November 26, 2022 via Zoom. Signed, Dr. Dali Laguilles, Subject Professor, Dr. Lorna Minia, Program Advisor, and Dr. Herbert Rosana, the Dean of the Graduate School. My dear participants, please take note that you have to evaluate, the link of which can be found in the message box and in the email that was sent to you. And the exchange of the evaluation that you will be doing will be the certificates that will also be sent through your email. Very frank yung pagkakasabi. Walang keme, diniretso talaga. Ganun po yun talaga. part po siya ng system natin. So thank you, my dear participants. I hope just like us, the organizers, were able to pick a lot because we were also able to pick a whole lot from this webinar. So to give us now the words of gratitude, I would like to call Ma'am Art Mangubat.
Okay, hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am tasked to give the words of gratitude for this webinar. Now, on behalf of the PHDEF 312 class, allow me to extend our deepest gratitude to the persons and organizations who made this webinar possible. This is not only a knowledge-enriching endeavor, but also a self-nurturing one, especially to us professional teachers. I know that with the participants, they have learned a lot from this webinar. Now, first of all, I would like to thank the resource speakers for this afternoon, Dr. Jeremy, Dr. Marcia, and Dr. Helen, for raising our affair and imparting your expertise and wonderful insights with us. Thank you for the permission to conduct this activity, as well as to Dr. Lorna Minia, our program advisor. Likewise, to our partner, the Bicol University College of Education Extension Service through Sir Pops, and in this webinar. Thank you, sir, sa pa-sponsor. And lastly, our participants both in Zoom and in the FB live stream, for without your presence, this activity would be in vain. Now, that would be all. Thank you again for participating in this event. Thank you po.
Oh, salamat po. Pwede po mag-request before we go for one group picture? One group picture po tayo, please. Kailangan itong i-document natin. Okay? Sige po.
Hindi ako nakikita.
Okay, please turn on your cameras.
I can't be seen.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Give it your best smile. Okay, another one po. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
This is the school we wish to sing, of a school to honor and revere, a temple built by man of firmness, a mold for you to walk with pride, for He will always be united, although we tread on distant lands. We all shall cherish what you've taught us, that you wholeheartedly gave forth. Bicol University, burning torch of wisdom, fount of courage, hope,
Thank you. Bye-bye po. Have a
Thank
great
you so much.
At may sama ticket.
Recording stopped.